Welcome to the What's Your Ceiling podcast. We're your hosts, Monte, Wyatt, and Paul Scieszinski. Wherever you are in life, there is a higher ceiling. This podcast is how you become aware of it and how to take action to push through it. It's time to discover your ceiling. All right, welcome to What's Your Ceiling, where we're here to talk about your health, family, and business. I'm excited about today's show. It's going to be a fun one. We've got with us, I'm going to call him the king of bacon for no better term. We've got Reynolds here. He's going to talk about the Blue Ribbon Bacon Fest coming up and a number of other events he's got happening, but you're going to enjoy his story. I'm Monte Wyatt.
I'm Paul Scieszinski.
And we're looking forward to another great episode today. We like to start with a keyword or a phrase that really encompasses our conversation that we're going to have. And today our keyword is creativity and fun. So, as we break through ceilings, our audience, the achiever, we got to sometimes be creative and fun to make it happen. So, Paul, when you hear the phrase creativity and fun, what comes to mind to you?
Well, the first thing I think of, someone thinking out of the box, doing something different than what's normal a lot of times. But being creative is usually someone that's building something, someone that's moving the needle forward. So I think you have to have an imagination to be creative. I think there's different types of people, and I think today we're going to see a creative guy that's done some pretty cool stuff, and I'm excited to see his creative ways and views.
Absolutely. Brooks, how about you? When you think of creativity and fun, what comes to mind? And as a person that's achieved things and broken through ceilings in life, what's creativity mean to you?
Creativity is something out of the norm or something that you don't normally see every day or experience. It's something that you obviously aren't going to get all the time, and something that's, again, different and kind of breaks boundaries, and something that you're like, wow, I'm so glad I got to do that or experience that in some way, shape, or form. But again, it's pushing boundaries and seeing what you can do and make sure folks have a good time experiencing what you're putting out there.
I like how you put that. It's an experience.
Yeah.
You're creating something that's going to be memorable, that people will say, wow, I want to do that again. That's creativity.
It is the wow effect.
The wow effect. I want to do it again. The wow factor.
Yes, as you can see, he's a promoter, and he knows what he's doing.
Well, absolutely. I appreciate that, because our audience, the achiever, to be breaking through ceilings, we often do need to be different. We have to be unique. We have to set ourselves apart than everybody else out there. So we have to be creative and fun. And I think sometimes we separate the two, that we don't think we can be fun in business. But I think, Brooks, you'll tell us through some of your stories that fun is a big part of business, and it makes people do want to come back. So do appreciate you joining us today. I'm looking forward to our conversation. And, if you would, tell us a little bit about your growing up, your childhood, how you got to work in the world, because your family, business owners in town, very influential in the world, and you had to work as a kid too, just like some of those farm boys. So Brooks
Reynolds from Des Moines, Iowa, born and raised here in Des Moines. I think I'm a sixth generation Iowan. My family moved here from New York in 1851. I had a very unusual upbringing. My family was very involved in a nonprofit called Variety, the children's charity. I don't know if you remember the Variety Children's Charity Telethon, but my folks, along with a couple other people in Central Iowa, were very key on getting that kind of reinvigorated in the early 70s. When they had the first telethon in 1974, they raised $155,000 that went to Blank Children's Hospital. And I lost a sister who was, when she was born, she had a lot of ailments, and one lung, one kidney, and she just unfortunately passed away at 14 months. And my parents dedicated their lives to helping those in need, and especially children. So it's just, I was born with a volunteer spirit, and my folks my father was, I think, the second or third in the 70s is kind of when I think that the variety really got reinvigorated, because I think in 1973 they raised $5,000 and they were going to lose their charter. So in 1974, I think Steve Blank was the first president, and then my father was the second for 2 years. But they kind of went against the norm. And, my dad's not from Iowa. My father's from Minnesota. He was a butcher when he was 14 years old, and, his father died when he was 12. So my dad had to pay his way through college and, earned everything. He's a self-made man. And he just, he had he was driven, he didn't want to be a butcher the rest of his life. And when he moved here to Des Moines, he still worked for 3M, and then, started working for my grandfather's insurance agency. But just through his, just the hunger he had, he networked and he met people, and he met Stephen Blank of the Blank family, and they owned a theater company called Central States Theaters. And that's kind of when my dad found his niche in the insurance industry and started writing movie theater insurance. And just kind of with that and Variety, movie theaters and Variety, the children's charity, are very interconnected because of the little girl, Catherine Variety Sheridan, who was left in a movie theater in Pittsburgh in the 1930s. And, there was a note pinned to her that said, "Hi, I'm a mother of like 7 or 8 children. This is my youngest daughter. Her name is Catherine. I can no longer care for her. I know that people in the theater industry are kind. Will you please take care of my daughter?" And this group of men, they were in a group called the Variety Club. But they were theater owners. One of the gentlemen was a theater owner. She was left at the Sheridan Theater in Pittsburgh. And it was kind of just one of those things that kind of, again, it was divine intervention, movie theaters, Variety. And my father basically just exploded through that and went through the ranks of Variety, eventually becoming the international president in 1989. And, but, very quick rise. I mean, within 15 years of the organization, he was the international president of it. And then, just building his business in insurance and, being a part of a live telethon for 47 years. And, we didn't have A-list actors. We had some B, maybe some C, and we had a lot of weird actors, just the people that I have been fortunate to meet throughout my life. And, Sammy Davis Jr., Princess Michael of Kent, Tiny Tim, pretty much all the Iowa sports athletes, like Zach Johnson and Kurt Warner and, Eddie Podolak.
Oh, Eddie.
We were talking about earlier. I mean, Eddie Podolak's been a great family friend for many, since I can remember, since I was a little kid, and just having the experiences of being a part of a live telethon for so many years. And that was just great. And it just gave me a sense of, hey, if you put, you can do anything if you put your mind to it and work hard and create something new. And I was kind of pushed into insurance when I was in my mid-20s, and it was something I really didn't enjoy, but it was the family business, and that's, I guess, what we did. But I always knew I kind of had a hospitality background. I've worked in bars and restaurants growing up, and my first job was I was 14. But just trying to create something, and I sold insurance for 15 years, but I always knew that wasn't my passion, and it was just kind of how Bacon Fest got started. It was on a whim. I mean, I got asked a question at the High Life Lounge in August of 2007. What does Des Moines need? And I jokingly said a festival dedicated to bacon. And in March 1st of 2008, which is actually, we'll celebrate
Did you have a couple cocktails when you thought
may have had I was with one of my sisters, Sue's. I had a couple beers. I was feeling no pain, but it just kind of, it was like one of those things that just, hey, let's have something fun. And
it was a creative moment.
Yes, it was a creative moment. And got together with other like-minded creative people, Marshall Porter, who was one of my oldest friends, Seth Hall, Mark Peterson, John Tiffany, my, guys that I grew up with. Uh-huh. 4 of those guys, we all went to Roosevelt High School. Mm-hmm. We all grew up in the same, neighborhood in Des Moines. Seth Hall's from Kentucky, but his wife is from Des Moines, and she grew up in our same neighborhood. So we all kind of, hung around each other for, I've known Marshall for 45 years, I think 45, 44. And, and a lot of our creativity comes from sitting around a campfire and singing songs and having a good time and then reminiscing about, hey, do you remember that? Remember this? Remember we did, and we've been very fortunate throughout our Bacon Fest career that not everything's stuck, but we've thrown a lot of stuff against the wall and it's been fun. I mean, we've done events in Iowa, Minnesota, Colorado, Las Vegas, Idaho, Arizona, Kansas City, Iceland, Japan. We almost went to China. I was on a trade mission in Beijing in 2019. I think I brought COVID back and I was patient zero.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so you went from insurance and you're sitting at a bar and you said, what does it need? What do we need? Bacon, a festival towards bacon. How did you start that first one? I remember the first couple without at the fairgrounds.
So the first one was at the High Life Lounge. It was at the bait shop. So I was in, so the Juice, remember the publication Juice?
Yep.
So it's periodical for 20s and 30 somethings. And Jeff Bruning, who's one of the owners of the High Life Lounge, Full Court Press, Royal Mile, Buzzard Billy's, that's that group. He saw it and Jeff and I are buddies and he goes, we can make that happen. So, we reached out to Mindy Toyne of In Any Event and we got together and just kind of were like, hey, and we'd sit at the bar at, that big kind of weird triangle bar, high top at the bait shop. Yep. We'd sit there and we started meeting in September, I want to say, of 2007 and 16 years ago. It's so crazy. And just started spitballing, just being like, hey, what about this? What about that? And, we never thought it would be like what it is today. I mean, we were like, okay, we'll have, what's our max? Well, we can have 200 people. Okay. So the first year was just centered around food. I mean, we would have, bacon wrapped tater tots, bacon wrapped smokies, bacon wrapped shrimp, bacon cheeseburger, such and such. And then we had a bacon eating contest at the end, which was great because it was one of those days where it was probably in the upper 40s, but there was still snow on the ground. And we were kind of on the patio of the bait shop and people kind of, we made this kind of natural amphitheater of people standing on tables and there's video of it. And it's so great to watch. And we had so much fun with it. We're like, well, let's do it again. and it just kind of, it kept on, so we went from 200 year one. Year two, we had 400 people at the High Life Lounge and the bait shop. So we had both bars. Year three, we moved to the Scottish Rite Consistory, downtown Des Moines on Park Street. We had 800 people. We sold out in about 20 minutes. That was the first year we ever went online. And I'm actually driving back from Colorado with my then girlfriend. And I'm driving and my phone just starts blowing up. And I'm like, why are these people calling me? So it was the register reporter. And she's like, can you please comment on our tickets sold out? I'm like, what? She goes, tickets are sold out. I'm like, no. So I'm like, hold on, hang up the phone, call Marshall. I'm like, did we sell out? He's like, we sold out in 20 minutes. I mean, it was crazy. And then for the next 5 years, we would sell out within 15, 20 minutes. And it was crazy. I mean, it was insane just to watch that growth. And, we would create, once we moved to the Scottish Rite, we had more things. We had lectures. We had, obviously bacon eating contests. We had, the food would always expand because, we're a food festival. So we would always try to expand the food. But then we'd also have to have a little things here and there that were, a little different because that's when we started implementing themes. So the first theme was a bacon odyssey. One giant step for man, one giant leap for bacon, because it was 2010 Space Odyssey. And that's when we started, because again, it's like if you do the same festival year after year, it's going to kind of get stale, it's going to kind of get old, and you have to kind of reinvent. So we basically, every year for 12 of the 14 years, we would reinvent ourselves with a different theme. So year two we moved down year two when we had 2,000 people when we were at the Capitol Square. we had balloon art. I was dating a girl who was a nurse. And I was like, would you and some of your girlfriends dress up as sexy nurses and give on-site cholesterol checks? She goes, what? She goes, sure. So we had these 4 lovely nursing students from Mercy. Thank you, Mary Bender. And they would basically give people stickers that said, certified bacon nurse. I mean, that was it. But then we'd have, so at Cap Square, you know how there's the skywalks?
So you actually did cholesterol test?
No. I mean, I did some. No.
Kind of did.
No. So you know how at Capitol Square there are the skywalks that separate the upper floors like 5 through 8. It's not. So what we did, with the old rockets, like you'd build a rocket at home where it'd have a parachute.
Right.
So we would get rocket parachutes, and we attached bags of bacon, little Ziploc bags of up one piece, because 2 pieces were too heavy.
Right.
And so we basically had probably 100 bacon parachutes falling through the sky at Cap Square. I mean, it was great. I mean, it's just the weirdness, and people were like, that's awesome. And then year 5, we expanded. Year 5, 6, and 7, we were at the fairgrounds. And, in that time we had expanded in 2011, which was year 4, we expanded into Colorado, our Colorado event, the Keystone Bacon and Bourbon Festival. And then we had also expanded into Iceland. We went on our first Icelandic trip. And I call it now the Iowa Bacon Lift, kind of what we do when we kind of do these kind of like promotion events where we go into a market and we just give away bacon. So in 2011, we actually bought 100 kilos of bacon, and we set up two tables in the middle of the street in downtown Reykjavik, and we griddled up 100 kilos of bacon in 4 hours and just gave it.
Where was this at?
In Reykjavik, Iceland.
Oh, cool.
And we just gave away bacon. And we had 10 cases of beer too. Yeah. And we just and people were like, you're giving away bacon? We're like, yeah. And we had the best time. I mean, I have lifelong friends. I mean, I actually am in business now in Iceland because of that event.
Monte, this is, he's a promoter. And I'll have to, I was in the promoting business for over 12 years in boxing. And when you grew that thing, and the first time you went into the state fairground and packed it, I think I was a little jealous because I said, this guy knows what he's doing. And and going through this interview today, I realize he reinvents himself every year. He's breaking through ceilings and going through different ceilings is what we're all about. And it's really interesting how you've not only expanded from Iowa throughout the United States, and obviously you're stretching out around the world. At the Keystone, was that your second event in Colorado?
It was our second major event outside of the Des Moines market.
Okay.
So my family, we owned a ski place in Colorado. My parents met skiing in Wisconsin, and skiing was like, we didn't go to the beach, we went skiing. Purina, when they were one of the big big owners of Keystone back in the 70s and 80s. So they did a big push for Iowa, for people in Iowa to buy places in Keystone. And so in 1980, we bought with the Gertis family and then the Olson family, Dick Olson, the former mayor of Des Moines. So we bought this little 2-bedroom ski condo. And so we've always been going there. And normally when I'm out and about, I'm wearing something logoed, right, branded, because again, it's a talking point.
Hey, get back to that. I don't want to interrupt you, but we talk about people promoting, and Don King, his hair. This guy has actually a baking suit.
I almost wore it.
I can't believe you didn't.
I almost wore it. It was a little chilly outside, and I have to go to an event after this, and I didn't have time to go home and change. But I got a couple logos on. I think I'm wearing. Yeah, I'm wearing 3 logos. I got the bacon belt.
Well, you kind of got the look. When you think of Bacon Fest, you are the logo. I don't know that you know that now. You are the logo.
My brother calls me Sideshow Bob.
Sideshow Bob.
That's really cool because Monte and I are all about reinventing ourselves. How can we get better? How we can get to another level? And let's be honest here. I mean, Brooks comes from a family here in the state of Iowa that's well respected in business. Not only the state of Iowa, all over the United States and around the world, because he's being a little bit modest in his connections with the charity group. Because I've seen your dad connect with unbelievable people, not only in the Midwest, but all over the world that supported him raising those funds. And I believe the charity, how much did last year that you raised, what was it, 4 million?
The Variety of the Children's Charity?
Yes. And I know I'm getting off subject here.
I want to say it was over 4 million. I'm not sure the exact number, but since 1974, the Variety of the Children's Charity of Iowa has raised over 120 million. And I believe their operating cost is like 7-8%. So 92 to 93 cents on the dollar goes towards
that's amazing.
Those that they need.
That's amazing.
And that's great to know because, unfortunately there are some charities out there that, did you see that Russell Wilson thing in the news a couple weeks ago where it's like, 25 or 30 cents on the dollar goes to charity. The Variety has a very minimal office. It's nothing flashy. Sherry McMichael and Margie and the folks there have just been great. And they help kids, and it's from mobility issues to the NICUs at Blank and Mercy and PICUs and Children's Cancer Connection and Camp Easter Seals and Sunnyside and Boys and Girls Club and there's
it is amazing. And what I love about this is there's a why there. His dad,
yes.
He had a why and a passion, and it's amazing. And even though you had kind of a privileged way of growing up, you were someone that picked it up and took that passion and your why and took it even to another level. And your dad must have been proud and amazed at the things you've achieved, thinking out of the box. Because he was the same way.
Yeah, my folks were. It was both my folks actually.
Yeah,
my mom, I think, was my biggest cheerleader because she saw the passion that I had with what we did and what I did and what my friends did. Because a lot of the guys that I do it with have been part of my life since I can. Marshall Porter and I went to elementary, junior high, high school. We were roommates in college. John Tiffany was a bridesman in my little sister's wedding. Yeah. Mark Peterson has been my mom's lawn care guy for 25 years. At her funeral, it's interesting to see people when they come up to you in the receiving line. He cried like a baby. He cried worse than I did. Obviously I cried a lot, but and then Seth Hall, our families have been going back almost 50 years because his grandfather was Bill Reichard. And, yes, I totally was raised in a very privileged life and upbringing, but we always did. When I'd get in trouble, my mom would make me do volunteer work, but it was just like a second nature to us because whether it was cans for kids when I was in elementary school, I'd go around and collect cans.
That's exactly exactly. Both you and your brother worked.
Yeah,
you guys had to get up in the morning. You had to go do things, and it's amazing that you have the same relationship with your school buddies and you grow into building something. It's great for the state of Iowa what you're doing. You get a lot of publicity. It's a positive publicity, and of course the Reynolds family is well respected through Iowa, and I just want to thank you for all.
Oh, thank you. No, we appreciate
you guys do. And
a big part of what our show is teaching our audience, the achiever, what people have done to break through their ceilings. So what was something that you really had to grow through? You had to learn something new. You had to change your approach. You had to change your mindset to get to that next level.
Well, so I'm a city boy. I went to Windsor and Merrill and Roosevelt. I was born in Des Moines. I live in Des Moines, and bacon is obviously Iowa's number one. We're the number one producer of hogs in the United States. I didn't know anything about the hog industry, I know I liked bacon. I knew I liked to eat it. I could cook it pretty good. I'm not a professional chef, but I can get by and just, trying to break into that industry and meeting people and trying to I cold called for my job for 15 years. So I have no problem picking up the phone and talking to somebody. I can talk my ear off. Mm-hmm. If someone's ear off for hours. We could be here all day if you really want to, but I got somewhere to be later. The hard part for when we first got started was just having people take us seriously because, I would get on the phone. I'm like, hi, I'm putting on a bacon festival in Des Moines. Would you like to be involved? They're like, are you serious? I'm like, well, yeah. And it took a while. But then after, the first 5 years, well, our 5th year, we had an article in the Wall Street Journal written about us. It was a front page article. We had a pencil drawing of a piece of bacon, and that kind of gave us some clout. That gave us some great, I'm like, here's an article about us in the Wall Street Journal. And, bacon doesn't really promote itself. They don't have to. I mean, it sells itself. I mean, really, when you look at, companies or advertisements that involve bacon, it's like Wendy's Baconator or some restaurant that's trying to sell a sandwich.
Right.
But bacon promotions in general, you really don't see that because they've really never had to. I mean, they're trying to promote their fresh products, their pork chops, their pork loins, their ribs. Mm-hmm. So, they were kind of as an afterthought. So like when we first started our festival, we did it just because we love bacon. Obviously I love pork, but again, just breaking into the pork industry and trying to get people to take us seriously. And, now, I'm friends with, Pat McGonigal, who's the head of Iowa Pork. I mean, I talked to Joyce Hops the other day, who's the head of marketing for Iowa Pork.
Lives in Van Meter, Iowa.
Oh, she does. Oh,
Joyce does.
Lovely lady. Yeah. Love her. Chatting with Dallas Hockman, who's with the National Pork Producers. And, he just retired. But the Neil Dirks, who's the ex-head of the National Pork. And, Courtney Knupp, who's the head of international marketing for U.S. Pork. And just meeting people along the way, I'm a promoter. I like to have fun. I like to throw parties. I want people to have a good time. And that's what people know us for. And I think we do a pretty good job of that. And, that basically, fortunately got me into my next business, which is JR South Pork Ranch. I mean, that kind of, the years of us, I don't want to say of just building the Bacon Fest brand, the Blue Ribbon Bacon Fest brand, just kind of helped us go into other ventures. And, so yeah, that was kind of the hardest, I guess, ceiling for us to break through.
Having fun and the right type of fun, it attracts people, and it attracts the right type of people, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
And I can see you have fun probably about anything you do, I'm sure.
Look, the corn dog princess thinks I have way too much fun.
Well, what a great guest we've had today to come in here and show exactly that. I love the way you said you just kind of reinvented it every year to find a bigger, better way to do it. And it was amazing when you guys sold out at the fairgrounds, because how many people could you get in there at the time? That first time I was like,
so
wow.
Our first year at the fairgrounds was 2012. So we had 4,500 people. Year 2 at the fairgrounds, we had 8,500 people. And then year 6 was the big year. We had 12,500 people, and we sold out in 3 minutes and 14 seconds.
Holy
that's
smokes,
amazing.
3 minutes.
That's amazing. So I guess there's a market out there. What do you think, Monte?
So one of my great friends, his name's Brian Hemestath. He owned a ticketing platform called Tickly, and it was kind of their first year. And so we're actually at have you guys ever been to the penthouse at the Savory before? Have you ever rented that out? It's the 10th floor at the Savory, or no, 11th floor, I think. Anyways, they used to have this beautiful penthouse but it's like, I think, anyways, we'd rent it out. Big rooms. So there's probably 20 of us in there, and we have 7 different TVs and computers on various analytics that you can see via our ticketing platform. And one of them on the big screen was a map of the United States, and you could see where people were buying tickets.
That's great.
And we're like
cool.
We're literally watching it, and there's like the circle would get bigger for the amount of people were buying tickets in that geographic location. So obviously, there's a huge circle over Iowa in the Midwest, but then you're seeing California, Texas, Florida. I mean, there was somebody that bought some in like Africa. I mean, just weird. But then all of a sudden, like, we're like watching, we think we're going to sell out in like 20 minutes. All of a sudden, Brian's like, "You're sold out." We're like, "What?" We had like a timer. I mean, it was crazy.
3 minutes. Let's back up here a second. So I've been to Savory, and I've rented rooms at the Savory. So you rent the suite just for what?
We didn't have an office. We
didn't have an office. So you rented the suite when the tickets went live, so you could
party.
See that
100%. Well,
it's an excuse to drink beer.
So everyone in the group at that point was married and had children.
Yeah.
And I lived in a little townhouse at Glen Oaks. So, to have 20 people in my townhouse really wasn't going to be a good thing. And I don't think many of the wives, Emily Porter, I love you, by the way. I don't think Emily Porter wanted to have 20 people at her house during the day. So, I mean, again, this is 8 years ago. I mean, so I think Ella would have been 4, have her 4-year-old come home to a bunch of her dad's idiot buddies. So we would rent out the Savory. And it was, we've had weddings. One time we had a wedding there, impromptu wedding, with a midget Elvis fire-breathing impersonator, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan was there.
Oh my God!
I mean, we've had some interesting nights in that room, and now they don't rent out that room anymore because it's not ADA compatible, right? Because they just did that big remodel, which is, it was because it had a outside deck. I mean, it was one of the best hotel rooms in Des Moines.
I didn't know that. Nice little secret.
Yeah.
Well, that is a great story, because I knew there's a story behind the story why you rented that room. And I think if you're going to do it first class and have fun. And I thought, what a great way to. And so you had it set up on the computer, and you had the big screen set up around the room to watch
the ticket sales.
Yeah, just because, we're troubleshooting. We've got somebody working social. So like somebody's on our Facebook, someone's on the email, someone's on, just because we're getting people, hey, I can't get in, just trying to troubleshoot as much stuff as we can. And then, because, remember with like the whole Taylor Swift thing this year, ticketing, it was funny because we told people, we sold out faster than Taylor Swift. But we did. That year we did. It was crazy. And we were very fortunate for many number of years. I want to say 8 years we sold out. And, not many events do that. Concerts do it because people want to see that we're a food festival. We know what we are, and we had a great run. We're still having fun with what we do, and with me now having JR South Fork Ranch at the fair, it just seemed like a logical fit for us to migrate back to the fairgrounds. Mm-hmm. We did move it back 3 months. Normally the event would be around this time. If it's not this week, it's the next weekend. And, last year's event was so cold, and people kind of griped and moaned, and so let's move it back to May. So it's kind of really as we kind of think, the beginning event of the summer season. Obviously summer is June, but the warmer month season, we could have snow on the ground in May. You never know what's going on in Iowa.
Yeah. And what are the dates this year?
It's May 12th and 13th.
May 12th and 13th. Mm-hmm. So 2 days at JR South Fork.
Yes. Well, JR South Fork, Bill Riley stage. We've got a rock wall golf simulator, mechanical bull. We've got 7 or 8 local craft beers. We've got craft cocktails.
Now, how would somebody that's listening to this podcast would get information? Is there a website?
blueribbonbaconfestival.com.
Oh, cool.
Or you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or my LinkedIn.
Yeah. I think he's got it covered.
I love it. I love it. Well, I want to thank our achiever for joining us, because this is a fun program, and I want to point out a couple things that I took away is do anything when you can do anything when you put your mind to it, and you brainstorm, you get creative, you look for things that are fun, and you found your passion. That's what I loved about your story is in insurance for 15 years, but it wasn't what you really enjoyed. And then you found something, and then it getting bigger and bigger. And now it's expanded into other opportunities, but it's become a great business for you. but it's a lot of fun, and you've been a lot of creativity juices and through the years that have been just exciting and fun things. So I really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Yeah, no, again, it's something that I never thought. I always knew I wanted to go into events, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. And then once Bacon Fest started 15 years ago, and then we started doing Colorado, and then we started doing Iceland, and then, I met this other guy named Mark Wyatt.
Yep.
And we started doing bike rides. So we did the Bacon ride. We're going to have our 9th Bacon ride, which is June 17th, which is the largest one-day bike ride in the state of Iowa. That ride has helped raise over, I think, $400,000 for local nonprofits. Wow. We give back to the Raccoon River Valley Trail Association. We Waukee Parks and Rec.
That goes all around the Raccoon Trail.
71-mile loop. And the economic impact on those communities is great. I mean, we did a study one year, and it was, $300,000-$400,000 because, people come in for the weekend. They stay, they buy, they go to the restaurants and bars and shops and whatnot and buy gas. And, that's kind of how we define a successful event is the economic impact, or one of the factors is how that impacts our communities. And that's who I kind of work with, as well as some of my other events. Like in Colorado, I work with the Keystone Neighborhood Companies, because they then work with the ski resorts to bring people in for the summer, because, that's when they have all those available condos for people to come and stay. And we're going to celebrate our 12th year there. And, I do an event in Minnesota. We work with the visitbrainerd.com Convention and Visitors Bureau, because they have a group of 9 hotels that they try to fill. But we give back to those communities. Like we give money to the Arboretum, to the bike trail, to, the city park where we do all our stuff. So, every place that we go, we try to leave an impact on those communities.
We talk about legacy, we talk about achieving, but, it goes to your family. Your family have been givers all their lives. And what a great story of, giving, and you're still giving. And I think it's something that everybody ought to strive to do is, there's takers out there and there's givers. And I can tell you this, your family's been a big giver forever. And I know the state of Iowa is nothing but proud to have the Reynolds family in Des Moines, Iowa. And I just want to thank you for joining us today. And I think, Monte, you probably have learned a lot from this.
Absolutely.
This podcast today, and I know I have. So,
one of the questions we like to ask each of our guests is, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to be remembered as?
What do I want to be remembered for? I don't know. I mean, I don't think of that really. I mean, it's not something that I ponder on regularly. I mean, I guess I'll be known for someone who likes to have a good time and likes to. I'm a little loud, is what I've been told. The corn dog princess says I'm a little boisterous and out there and a little weird, but I don't know. I think. I mean, if I could be anything like my folks, that would be great. But to be like them, there's no way I can achieve what they've done. Just to be somewhat holding the torch that they lit so many years ago, and trying to emulate what they've done in this community, not just in this community, but, all over. And, that's kind of why we do events in these other foreign markets, is we try to, again, like whenever I go to an event overseas, I promote Iowa. I promote Iowa products. I promote Iowa agriculture. In some of those products I promote are Iowa beer and Iowa pork, Iowa whiskeys and whatnot. But we also try to, like in our Iceland event, one year we gave $30,000 to their children's cardiac wing, because one of my buddies is a pediatric cardiologist in Iceland. And that's why we gave money back there. And we're working on a project in Vietnam right now. My mother was in the Vietnam War. She was in the 2nd Red Cross Unit in 1964 at Cam Ranh Bay, which is also known as China Beach. And she kind of gave me the wanderlust that I have, because, I'm not married. I don't have children. So I travel a lot. And so we're trying to implement a program there to kind of reach out to, and do events with Iowa pork, but then also give back and do some stuff with some it's still in the process. I mean, like it's, you know, to do events in a foreign country is tough because I don't know the players. I don't know who to talk to. And it like for our Japan event, it took me 2 years just to get that event off the ground. And, you know, I just want to be known, I guess, as somebody who helped out those in need and created some fun events throughout the years that people had a good time and made memories. And, you know, we've had people that have met their significant other at Bacon Fest, and people that tell me that, like, I met my wife at Bacon Fest. We got married because of you. I mean, we've had proposals at Bacon Fest. We've had marriages at Bacon Fest.
Is that what you call making bacon?
That's exactly. But yeah, you know, just to be a good person, a good, you know, citizen of Des Moines. Like one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm raising money for Moulton Elementary School to give the kids sweatshirts, brand new sweatshirts. I've been doing that for 7 years. We've raised $66,000 to feed them, put new branded, because Moulton Elementary has 27 different nationalities at that school. It's one of the lowest impoverished schools in the state. It's not the number one, but I would say it's the number one in the metro. Yeah. And, you know, their parents can't afford a simple logoed sweatshirt. So I buy them a brand new sweatshirt, and to see the joy on a kid's face when they get their school colors on a sweatshirt, and you feed them like a pizza party with ice cream and I'm like, I'll get bounce houses and pizza parties and we'll do all that fun stuff. And, you know, they don't get that. And I mean, that makes me feel good. And that's kind of what I want to be remembered for, is to, you know, make a difference. I'm not going to be able to touch everybody, but if I can, you know, hopefully help a few, that makes me feel good. Like last weekend I was at Camp Pendleton and I cooked for 500 Marines. My cousin's the colonel for the 11th Battalion, the Cannon Cockers. They're an artillery division. And so 8 buddies and I went out, we played a little golf. And then on one Saturday, we grilled out for 7 hours, and we grilled out for 500 people. Wow. But again, just that small stuff. I mean, we had all the food donated, but somebody needed to cook it. And you know, that's what makes me feel good is, you know, again, having a small interaction with somebody, letting them know that, hey, we care for what you do, and, you know, helping. I'm a big supporter of the troops, and it's, you know, kids and troops. So that's kind of what I like to
That's amazing.
Spread my wings at.
You know, I love hearing the story, no matter what it is, whether it's your business, it's an economic impact, or you're giving back to the communities. I think that's fantastic. So really appreciate what you do for the kids and the communities, because that's really cool. Yeah. That's really cool. Brooks, I really appreciate you joining us. And I want to say thank you to our audience, the Achiever, learning from Brooks. What were a couple of learnings you took away, Paul?
I'm going to have fun. I can tell you that. Have fun. And you know, I've been involved with a lot of different businesses over the years, and I find usually the most successful ones are the ones that are the givers. Yeah. And I think you're probably one of the biggest givers that I knew your dad was always a big giver, but I can tell you right now, it's amazing when you get around people like that, because those are the type of people we need to lead this country with the right attitude and have fun. And I want to thank you for being here, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate the time, and I hope to see you guys out at Bacon Fest or JR South Pork Rancher in the fair. And absolutely. One more time, what's the website? I got a couple. Bacon Fest website. BlueRibbonBaconFestival.com. And May 12th and 13th. May 12th and 13th, Iowa State Fairgrounds, Bill Riley Stage, JR South Pork Ranch. 2 days, country night. The first night, Jay Allen, the Outlaw Apostles. Oh. Second night, we have Damon Dotson, Freddie Jones Band, the Samples, bacon, food vendors, mechanical bulls. You know, got to wash that down with a cold beer or 6. No mini kiss this year? No mini kiss this year. Oh, Damon Dotson's great. He's one of my favorites. What a great job. Great job. Well, thank you to our audience, the Achiever. Look forward to, please like us, please subscribe. We appreciate everything that you do, and keep achieving out there. Thanks for joining us.